Hello, my sober lovelies. Before we dive in, I'm really excited to announce my group coaching program for women is live, and you can join now. So excited for this because let's be real here. Quitting drinking isn't just about saying no to the glass of wine or booze. It's about what comes after. All the fear, the boredom, the late night anxiety, and the stories you've been telling yourself for years. And that's where my Rewired Sober group coaching program for women comes in. It's only $247. I'm being totally transparent on the price. It's for 3 months, and you'll learn how to shift your mindset, build habits that actually stick, and question the core beliefs that have been keeping you stuck, and find healthier ways to deal with that loneliness and that now what feeling. The best part is you don't have to do it alone. We'll have live group coaching sessions weekly, and there'll be a bunch of women walking through it with you. It's not another cookie cutter sobriety program for mommy vloggers. It's neuroscience meets real life, and it's designed for women to help you not just stay sober, but actually feel good living sober. You can join anytime, and I'd love to see you on the inside. So start today, get instant access. The link's in the show notes. Hey there, and welcome to You've Been Selected. I'm your host, Kate Vitella, and something tells me you didn't just stumble across this podcast by accident. Maybe, just maybe, you've been called here, like selected by the universe for something more. So let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. Today's guest is a very fascinating individual. Dr. Robb Kelly, PhD, is a sought-after recovery expert who believes in treating the causes of addiction and not the symptoms. Dr. Kelly has appeared on shows such as The Doctor, Eye Opener, Good Morning Texas, Ken's 5 in the Morning News, a frequent contributor to radio and print interviews, including The Jim Bohannon Show, Miracles in Recovery, USA Today, and participated in McLean Hospital's Harvard Medical School study on the stigma associated with mental illness. Dr. Kelly hosted Sober Celebs show on the KLIF radio in Dallas, currently hosts the Breaking Through Addiction podcast featuring special guests discussing a variety of mental health issues. This is a really fascinating individual with a really long story, so bear with me with this amazing introduction. Dr. Kelly created Let's Get Back to 98%. These are recovery DVDs used in prisons and recovery treatment centers throughout the U.S., which I personally think is awesome. He's lectured on addiction and trauma at high-profile universities, national conferences, treatment facilities, public organizations. He's currently the CEO of what he calls the Robb Kelly Recovery Group, an addiction and mental illness recovery coaching company that he created based on his extensive research and behavioral studies that he's conducted over the past 20 years. He has a PhD in psychology and behavioral science. And he wrote the book, Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. And he shares about an opportunity to get a copy of this book throughout the podcast. And he's waving it in the air as we're on camera and gives an opportunity for listeners to reach out to him to get the book, which is available on Amazon, I believe. And I'll put the link in the show notes. Now, I thought I would share a bit of his backstory so we didn't spend the time in the podcast discussing his incredible life, because I was so curious to pick his brain about behavioral science, neuro-linguistic programming, and the methods he's using with his clients. But this gentleman's backstory, he was a bass guitarist and as a studio musician on Abbey Road in his younger years, and really had a big struggle with addiction. So his story includes some domestic violence with his wife, his family begging him to stop drinking, doing interventions, custody battle with his children. This is a gentleman who was recording in a studio with some really high regarded artists and was doing well as a musician. And he lost everything and was homeless and rebuilt his life and business. Now works with really high profile clients in sort of a interventionist type of way. And I didn't spend too much time on this story. One, because he's told it a million times. You can Google it, it's everywhere. And if you really feel like you're going down a Robb Kelly rabbit hole, you're welcome to investigate all the things. But I hope to have him back on again because I will tell you, this was a thought provoking conversation. He is unapologetic and just, a straight shooter. And I really appreciated that. So let's get into it. Okay, here we go. Welcome, Dr. Robb Kelly.
Thank you. Good to be here. Hey, guys. Great to be here. Take a seat. This one's going to be good.
Yes, and you just said before we started recording, this is going to be the best podcast ever. So now I have really high expectations.
Always. Let's do it.
So I was talking to you before we hit record, and I was saying, we're going to kind of brush past your personal story, and I really want to get into your expertise. However, can you briefly give us a backstory of how you got here? Because we can't skip that part, right? It's too cool. It's too fascinating. Even from a voyeuristic standpoint, if we just want to stand back, like, give us the down and dirty.
Okay. So, as you can tell by my accent, guys, I'm born in Manchester, England. I grew up there with a poor family on the project called Council Estates there. So, never really had any money. And the only thing I could do very well is play guitar. I was born into a music family, so I can play any instrument. So, at the age of 9, I played bass guitar with my auntie and uncle on stage and getting paid for it. And I took my first drink at the age of 9. And then basically, as we know today, it's just, that progression over the next 18 years or so got worse and worse and worse. So I went through school. I was lucky enough to go to college, uh, drinking every day by now, got married, 2 children. And then, quite wealthy, at the big house on the hill, brand new Mercedes every 12 months. My girls around 1 and 3 at the time. And then after stabbing my wife 3 times one night, because she wouldn't let me finish a bottle of vodka, it all went wrong. So I had to fly to Spain, stay there. Attempted murder charge was on me. It was all sorted, came back, and then she left with my children. And me being, the big I am, got hold of my attorney, told him to get my kids around the next day, make sure you're in court first thing. And there he was the next day, my 2 little girls. I was 3 days sober by now, Kate. So I took them in, the responsible dad, I'll show her kind of thing. I put her in front of the TV, both of them. I gave them drinks. I walked into the kitchen and the thought hit me, wouldn't it be great to have one drink to celebrate my children coming up? So it's the last thing I remember.
Yeah.
2 days, I don't know how long it was. The police kicked the door down. The babies had not been fed or changed diapers in 2 days. I nearly killed them. There was bottles of vodka all over the room. And the police came in and took my eldest, passed it to mom. And then my youngest passed it to grandma. And I always remember my wife holding Charlie's hand. So Charlie's holding mommy's hand. And as they're walking away from the door, I stumbled to the door. And she said 3 things to me, Kate. She says, my little girl turned around and said, Daddy, Daddy, please don't go. And halfway down the path, she turned around again and she said, Daddy, Daddy, please get better. And as he got to the final gate, he opened this big wrought iron gate. And she turned around one more time and she says, Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking. And I couldn't do it. It ripped my heart out, but I couldn't do it. A week, 3 weeks, I don't know, moved from here to parents, to friends, friends to acquaintances. And for the first time in my life, 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm sat on the bench, homeless, in the middle of Manchester. And the first thought was, where the hell did that all go wrong? I still didn't have a problem. And I stayed there for 14 months on the streets, hurting people, got hurt myself. There's false promises, junk every day. That's kind of where it took me.
Yeah, I can relate. I myself didn't experience actual homelessness, but I was very close. I tell people if it weren't for the fact that I am a white female with parents that had monetary means to support me. White, straight female with parents with means. I have privilege, and they were putting me up in various houses of theirs. Otherwise, I absolutely would have been on the streets. And this was my situation was I was a registered nurse doing all this, so I can totally relate to the lengths that we go to with our disease. So then once you got sober, then you built a sort of an empire of, relating to addiction recovery. And so walk me through a little bit about how that came to fruition.
Well, I had a big spiritual awakening on the streets one morning, and that led to a guy called John. So Derek saw me on the streets, 2 o'clock in the morning, factories. One person supposed to be there, was the last bus home, took a shortcut, came up on me, got me back to his house, and he said, "You can stay here for as long as you like, and you've got to go to AA with me." And I said, "I don't like the AA, it's full of crap." But I had to go. It's a clean bed, dry bed for the night. I met this guy called John, who talked from a book and talked about God. And after we finished the meeting, I went over and I said, "Hey, John, my name's Rob, will you sponsor me?" And he said, "No." And just before the whole ground opened up and swallowed me with embarrassment, he said, "I'll be your spiritual advisor for 12 weeks. Well, I walked to that man's every Wednesday night, left Derek's at 6, got there at 7, left at 8, got home at 9, every single Wednesday for 12 weeks. The last thing he told me walking out of his door is your life will change from tomorrow and God will take you far away to heal people. But he also says, guaranteed you can recover. And I said, "John, I love you to bits. I'm in a block mattress in Derek's basement. Nobody knows I'm there. And
Yeah.
guarantee people can recover. They'll eat me alive." Very next day, Derek come on halfway through the day. Guy sweeping the floors just resigned, doing a job sweeping before. Oxford graduate, by the way. Hell yeah. So I'm sweeping the floor, turned into a full-time job, got my first pay packet. I was buzzing. I was working with people that were getting well. John had taught me so much, more than my psychology PhD. And later on, my second one in behavioral science, much more than that. So I went back to his apartment, I bought him a little teddy bear and a car. And then I knocked on the door, there's nobody there. Right hand lady came out in her apartment, "She's going to help you." So where's John's? Still lives here. It's horrible. So I don't know anybody. I just moved in, went round to the left-hand door, knocked on his door. Big guy comes to the door. "What do you want?" "It's John." "Where's John?" "John who?" "John, your neighbor." He went on to tell me that apartment was derelict and it used to be taped. And if you did walk in, you'd fall down 2 or 3 slides, kill yourself. I think these guys are crazy. Went back to the meeting the next day. The chairman recognized me. And I'm like, thank God for that. I'm not going insane. Does John still come in? He said, "John who?" I said, "The John, coffee machine, speaking about." I said, "Rob, we thought you were praying. You were talking to yourself. But never found that." But what I learned from the whole situation there and what set me off on this neural pathway pertaining to mind, the brain, and addiction is we get 2 lives in one lifetime. Let's not fuck this up, Rob. And two, you can fully recover from this. And if you are going to go ahead and fully recover from this, like billions have done, why not take chances and build empires and do everything that you want to do and take chances and be aggressive about how amazing that you can actually be. You see, 90% of people walking out today don't know how good they are.
Yeah.
And we get, "Oh, good job, Rob." And then somebody, "Oh, what's your ego, Rob?" It's like, really? Really? You're going to, everything I've been through and scratched and saved to get where I am today with the big house and ego? My ego left when you took my kids off me. So shut up before you start. So we get rid of those guys. And then once you do your childhood trauma, gateway drug, childhood trauma is the gateway drug. Once you reprogram the brain, take away the self-sabotaging neural pathways, heal the hypothalamus, basal ganglia, and the amygdala, you can do anything you want to do in life. And do you know what they used to say to me, Kate, years ago? Americans always used to say this, "Well, I can't be president of the United States." Let's forget your political views for a second, guys. Some years ago, we had a businessman running the country, no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me you can't achieve your dreams. Somebody's put that there.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard you speak about that a lot, and I think that's really interesting. And I'm in complete agreement. Somebody put that information in your head, old thoughts, old limiting beliefs, maybe a teacher, a coach from high school, a relative plant some kind of seed, which I believe can actually manifest just like trauma when people, plant those limiting beliefs and you grow up thinking you're dumb, fat, stupid, not enough, what have you. You sort of perpetuate that. So how does that play into like how you work with people to rewire their story, to rewire their brain?
When we go, alcoholics now, alcoholics are born drug addicts to me, is what we found. That's why we have a 98% success rate. So what we find is things done from childhood that were meant to be normalized to us, or more sensitive than more people, get stuck in the subconscious brain. How many times have I told you, shut up, you fat pig? That whatever it is gets planted in the brain. If you're alcoholic and addict, it's more sensitive, and the subconscious brain holds that in. Like, here's an instance. My dad was a quiet man, but when we were kids, he'd play with us on the floor. So he'd get my sister on the back and he'd rub her belly going, go on, you fat mess, you fat mess.
Yeah.
He was laughing and she's laughing. She has a weight problem all of her life.
Yep.
And because of that one sentence from a loving dad, everybody thought was funny and everybody thought. So childhood trauma, what we do today here is a direct correlation to what happened to us here. So if you always fail in relationships, if you can never find a steady job, it all goes back to here. And if you don't clear this up, you're always going to relapse. You're always going to live in the projects. You're always going to, whatever it is that you want to do is never going to happen. And people are, well, sure. No, 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 no. 30 years of diving into this childhood trauma, 30 years of understanding how the brain works. Everything you do here, which you think is normal. So my mom and dad used to drop me off at their friend's house every Friday night. They used to go out drinking. The next day they'd sleep in late and they'd come and pick me up. A couple of kids in there. When my parents' car left the driveway, we played, or we had to play, what's called a run around naked game, where the adults would chase us, tickle us, molest us. I didn't know what that was then. But from that instant that I thought was normal, I had problems with my relationship. I'd never take my top off at a swimming pool, even though I was a bodybuilder at the time. Never. So getting this, and this is the key. Now,
Yeah.
when we uncover, discover, and discard of that childhood trauma, it frees you up and it opens your mind. It's like taking blinkers off, and you really see the world for what it is, that you're not a waste of time, that you can do anything you want. My past does not define me. My weight does not define me, especially ladies out there. But my hair does not define me. What defines me today, in the now, today, in the conscious brain, because we've got rid of the subconscious brain first thing in the morning, I'll tell you how to do that later, is I am enough. I am attractive. I am tall. I am rich. I am powerful. I can heal. God's given me this job to do. I don't take any shit of anybody. I can't stand weak men. We move forward and we make this shit happen. Because most people are, well, shut up. Why are you stalling? Get your childhood trauma done. Otherwise, you always relapse and you're going to die. If there's anyone who's going to get away with this dying thing, it was me, but I died twice on the streets in Manchester. And yet I thought I'd get away. No, no. You're either in this recovery deal or you're out. You're either pregnant or you're not. There's no middle of the road for us. So I know that, no, you're going to die if you don't get this shit right. So listen to people who know what they're doing. Stop relapsing. Get your head straight and realize, A, how powerful you are. B, how the actual mind works that connects with another energy. So you can't see the mind, you can't touch it, feel it. Mind over matter. The brain's matter. So imagine if we can program the mind to control the brain that day. Well, of course we can. And this is the knowledge that people are missing. And the only reason I know this, guys, before you sat there, who does you think you? And the only reason why I know so much is because I'm old. I've been around a lot longer than you guys. I'm 63 years old. I take this recovery shit serious. Seen too many people die inside and outside the rooms, the hospitals, the psych wards, which I've been in plenty of times. And I've stood up years ago and I'm going to say, I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care what it is. And I'm going to study my ass off, because there's more to this addiction than people think there is.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm going to study my ass off because there's more to this than people think. I love that. And that's a huge motivator for me to become a certified addiction nurse and really ask more questions instead of just accepting these blanketed truisms from 1930s that we were passing around. And you're famous for your no nonsense approach, right? Your no bullshit. And I hear you talking about essentially willingness. Like if someone doesn't have the willingness to surrender or to face their addiction, then you're not interested in working with them. That's kind of what I'm gathering here.
It is, it's true. And people, oh, you shouldn't give up on people. I've been around too long. Okay. You're either in it or you're out. I'm not messing here. You
Yeah.
know, I'm quite aggressive. Well, I don't think Dr. Rob's the right person for me. Good. Go find someone who is. You know,
Yeah.
hey, Doctor, I feel like drinking. Go drink. I'm not God. I can't stop. If you're going to call me and sob story while you're drunk, I'm not that guy. I tell actors and movie stars all the time, I want to make it real clear, guys. I don't give a shit whether you come on board or not. But if you do come on board, that's my deal. Now, mixed with all that fame that I'm in, 25% of our work is pro bono, and we give $150,000 back into the community that needs it every year. So there's this tough exterior. I'm sick of dying or watching people die. This answer that who else in the world, Kate, is a 98% success rate and the money that guarantees you relapse? Nobody has it. Nobody has it. Now, how do we have that? Well, part of it is you have to pass an assessment. You can't come up with a check. We turned a movie star singer down for $1 million about 15 years ago in Dallas, Texas. You can't buy your way into it. But the biggest thing for me, Kate, is my mum died early of cancer because of me and my homelessness. I'm not going to give you false hope. So when we pass the assessment, I guarantee the parents will get them well, or the spouse. We don't mess with what we don't know. And if we can't do the job, we back away. But we really do. We've never done this for the money. God's looked after us. You know, we run a huge, we have 5 businesses. We run huge corporations that we're really proud of. But addiction is killing too many people from lack of information, especially in neuroscience that we know today.
So you talked about a couple things I want to you talked about a million things I want to circle back on, but the assessment, and I saw this on your website. It was the first thing that grabbed my attention was if you don't pass the assessment, we won't work with you. And I thought, wow, that's brave to put that out there. And I'm thinking, would I pass that assessment? So what's on that assessment?
Well, I can't say too much, obviously, because my people listening, but it's individual. There's no set routine. I will trick you. I will try and get you to do something, say something. Typical parents come in, they're flashing a checkbook. Please take my son on. He has an addiction problem. Son, are you ready? Oh, yeah, I'm really ready for this. Bring him into the office and I don't even know if it's legal what we're doing here, but we'll find out. You know, I'll say, I have some pills left over from, patient. We took them off. I mean, I know you don't really want to get well. Let's both take a pill now, start on Monday. Oh, brilliant. Walk back out to the waiting room. I'm sorry, we can't work with your son. Because this literally is. So it all depends on the situation. And we don't like to be shock jobs, but one kid was coming in with his parents and he called the office and wants to speak to Dr. Rob. And they go on and parents are very wealthy and they've already signed him up psychologically. And he started up, who do you think you are? You can get me well, blah, blah, blah. I've heard that. And I said, let me stop you right there. Go home. I don't give a shit whether you come on board or not. And people are staggered by that.
Yeah.
Make any money. Well, they make any money by doing the truthful thing. You make money for not taking little Johnny back for the fucking 4th time in your treatment center. It's charging him 10 grand a month. That's how you do it. You should go into a treatment center and hiding away from alcohol for 30 days will not do the job. Now, if you're a heavy drinker, that might work, working on relapse prevention. But if you're the real deal, you've got to drink on the way home. Something needs to change. And we don't mean playing games and stuff. Something needs to change because you have a mind that wants to kill you and make you look like an accident.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other part of that story I wanted to circle back to, and I definitely want to touch on something needing to change because that's what we're here for. But there is a story going around on the internet that you turned away a very famous pop singer who was under the influence, maybe seeking her parents seeking your assistance with some sort of intervention. Can you speak to that, or is that taboo?
Well, it's not really taboo because she's since then we've become friends. And she always said, you should tell that story. You should tell that story. So I want to lead with that. But it was Britney Spears. We closed down Campese's restaurant, the gig in Dallas she did. And we waited an hour and a half for her and she finally turned up. She was drunk. We laugh about it today. And I just got up and said, I'm not doing it. And the father, uh, Jay, Jane, I think Jamie, I can't remember. And the bodyguard come up and I put a check down. It was $1 million on it. He said, just put your name there, I'll sign it. And I had to be real honest. I had about $300 in the bank at the time, 20 years ago. And I turned it down. And now the doorman bodyguard threatened to hurt me. He's like, yeah, you're not going to do that, first of all. So yeah, and there's been a few like that, to be honest, especially movie stars that come over and they want to start running the show. He's like, again, I give them the speak to shut up and get in the helicopter or whatever is what's taking you so that they're onto it. And you do as you tell them. If you don't, we're going to sack you, we're going to fire you on the spot. I just paid 200 grand a month to come here. I don't give a shit how much you paid. You can't buy me.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty tough on that. And either people love it or they hate it. But you know something, Kate? I don't give a shit what people think about me anymore. I get the job done. I get it right. We're admired by the right people. We're hated with the wrong people. By the way, guys, if you're trying to succeed, nobody ever will comment negatively on what you do. If they're doing as good as you or better, you always get the guys down there that want to niggle and take notice of them guys. I knew I was onto something. Now, the fight is when I got it, Kate, is they took my license off me to practice because he said what I was teaching was dangerous and bullshit and that we needed medication to heal people. I had them in back because you can't cure drug addiction with a drug. And several years it took us to get my license back. I lectured to those guys. I lectured to the hospitals, the doctors, the surgeons, the government, all that stuff is what we do today. So, guys, if you're in that situation, if you think you know that you're onto a good thing and you think you're good at something, don't ever walk away. We need you there.
When you say they took your license away, they took your license as, were you a therapist or were you
Psychologists. Yeah.
a psychologist?
So I had 2 PhD, psychology and behavioral science. I took that when Zoom started picking up because I wanted to know if we could work online. So I took my second about 10 years ago, I think. But yeah, I mean, I came over here with everything for 2 weeks and then never went home. So it was a process to get my license through. But yeah, they snatched that off me because they had complaints. Apparently, I told someone to get out my effing office when he wasn't doing as he's told. He had a father and a friend and down the psychology board, and they frowned at that. So whatever.
Yeah, but there's a no nonsense approach, I think, that you're using with love, knowing that people have been catered to, coddled, and what they really need to hear is the down and dirty truth. With love, that you're in it to save their life. That's what I hear.
I think that's the key, Kate. I really do. Like I say, people love me, I hate me, whatever. I don't care. But yeah, I think there's too many people dying of this stuff. There's too many people. Like if me and you walked out into San Antonio right now and we stopped 10 strangers in the street and we asked them a simple question: what is an alcoholic? You know what they're going to tell us? Somebody who drinks too much alcohol. Alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism and the same any other addiction. It's not the problem. I never had a drinking problem. I had a thinking problem. Alcohol wasn't the bad guy here. That my childhood trauma, the way I was brought up. Now, when I say alcoholics are born, obviously then three things, hypothalamus, vagal ganglia, they're very, very important. But at the end of the day, you could fully recover. So look at the word recover. I'm going to come back. Oh, you shouldn't say that word. Well, why? Well, it means you're cured. No, it doesn't. Recover means to gain one's health and state of mind back. Well, I'm no longer sick because I'm not drinking. No longer stabbing people because they won't let me finish my bottle of vodka. So I'd say I'm pretty sane today.
Yeah, I'm not a person who identifies anymore as an alcoholic. There was a time when surrendering to that label was empowering, but it's not so much anymore. I'm not a fan of labels in general, though. In mental health where I work, we use person first language. We don't call someone a schizophrenic, an addict, a diabetic, right? It's a person living with And yes, I believe people can recover. That is why we talk so much about neuroplasticity, about the ability to rewire the brain. What a miracle that is. And that's a big reason why I went into coaching, is because the first thing people tell me is that they identify with some label. I'm a perfectionist. I'm a worrywart. I've always been this way. I'm this type of person. And I want to go in hard to challenge those beliefs, to reframe that. Because as I work with people, just like you said, we don't talk about alcohol. We're not talking about alcohol anymore. They've put down the drink. Now we're talking about all the other shit, all the problems.
I
Massive reframing that needs to be done.
start blimey, you're talking about language. I use that recovered alcoholic to prove a point. I don't class myself as an alcoholic. I don't go to AA meetings, haven't for 2 years. It's like we're over that stuff. If I had cancer, God forbid, and I was cured of cancer, do I still go back to the hospital every week? Well, no, of course you don't. So yeah, that I'm always an alcoholic. I don't buy into that stuff. I really don't buy into it because you're limiting your self beliefs and you're limited that you need to go to meetings every day to meetings that are going to keep you sober. What are you crazy? No human power can read about alcohol. You've heard that one in the book, guys. If you can go to meetings every day or week or whatever to stay sober, you're not an alcoholic. Believe me, you're not. There's a fine line. You're a heavy drinker. But once we do open the light, stop. Every time you say you're an alcoholic, you're belittling yourself. Internal dialogue will kill you. So
Yeah.
what did you say? If I drop a pen on the floor, this was me using, oh, idiot. You got to stop that stuff, guys. The internal dialogue has an immediate effect on the prefrontal cortex, which has an immediate effect on the behavior, which has an immediate effect on the outcome of how you want to run your life. This is no one's coming to the door, guys, with $1 million check or a job or a girl, or nobody's coming, guys. We're on our own. So find somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about and start to get well. Because if you're with a therapist for like 12 months, what? What do you guys talk about every time I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Rewire your brain in 90 days, get the counts. And we tell people, I don't want to, if you come with a little card or a gift, great. I don't want to see you ever again. Get this stuff done and get on with life. It's not a death sentence. It really isn't.
People talk a lot. I mean, you hear it all over. It's thrown all over the internet, and people talk a lot about your thoughts create your reality. But it takes some explaining in terms of neuroscience to break down what that actually means. And I think, sometimes I explain to clients, nerves that fire together, wire together, and some of that backup science. But I mean, how you just explained it. And can you elaborate on that a little bit more about how thoughts create our reality? Because that's so much about what you're fixing, curing, changing, reframing in your programs.
I have a great video I wish I could show you, but basically we believe every neural pathway to health, wealth, and success is already in your head. There's billions. The reason why you can't connect it is because of the past. So here's one chasing the best father, and we keep missing the connection because of our past. Because remember the subconscious brain, guys, that holds that stuff. When it releases, there are billions. We never forget anything. We just store it in our subconscious brain. It's never forgotten. It's still there. You can activate that anytime you want. But what happens is, as human beings, when we go for something, when we try something, when we try for that interview, with that interview process, that neural pathway thought pattern will come in. And your dad was right. You're a waste of time. You
Yep.
never remember to anything. You're too fat, you're too thick. So I come to the agreement years ago with myself is I'll never be blonde enough, tall enough, thin enough, or rich enough. Period. Everything I can do is be who I am today. But you can totally neuroplasticity, which is crazy because that big book that people read far before its time called it a psychic change.
Yes.
Guys knew it in 1938 when he wrote it, and it was out 1939. So we've suddenly, the medical fraternities grasped hold of that about 12 years ago. It's like you can fully reprogram the brain. You can fully repattern the brain. You can come away from self-sabotaging thought patterns. And yeah, because 300 neural pathways die every day. Listen to this real carefully, guys. 300 neural pathways die every day. What are you replacing them with? Old thought patterns, old behavior, what people say about you? No. We have a routine every morning that guarantees this. Poses the subconscious brain down, changes the patterns in the brain immediately. And we do some mirror work, which stacks the conscious brain and part of the subconscious that I feel good about myself today. And then we go out to the world and face it. And you have to, anybody, neuroplasticity is amazing, but you got to stay away from the negative people, guys. The guys that have a problem for every solution that you come up with. You got to stay, oh, yeah, no. The problem is, no. You can't do that, guys. And I'll tell you, one person, you're on your own with a group of friends. It's very hard once you recover to convince 9 people around you, this is the way we do life. But then 9 people around you can convince you. Well, everything I speak about here has been trial, tested, researched. We got 9 actors in our waiting room. And I invited one patient, free charge, 9-dimensional breathwork therapy. We'll put you on there free of charge coming. So when the waiting room was full, it was 9 actors and 1 patient. The 9 actors were told every 45 seconds, a buzzer will go. When it goes, I want you to stand up, count to 3 and sit down again. Everyone, 9 people stood up, the actors. The patient looked once back to her phone, sat down. They all stood up again. Now she's looking around and she's not looking at her phone. She stood up with everybody else. Now that's interesting. As we call the actors in one by one, as if they were patient, she was the only person left in that room. She stood up. What does that tell us about human behavior? Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You should, A, never be the smartest guy in the room, and B, you need to hang around the people that you want to be. And I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about, if that's your deal, great. But I'm talking about if you want to be the best dad, if you want to be the best dressed, hang around with the people that you want to be. And the mirroring part of the brain will pick that up and you will become, because people around you will treat you that way. There's a great experiment that was done. We did it ourselves back in the 90s, I think. When we went to a school aged between 9 and 12, we said to the headmaster, we have this amazing test. You know, and we kind of knew it. We'll give it to you, get the pupils to do it, and we'll tell you who the 3 top people are in your school. And he said, Dr. Robb, that's impossible. I said, no, right? Come try it. He cleared it with the board. We got it, went in, all 15 took the test. Said, back next day, we'll tell you what's 3. So we come back next day, Julie? Yeah, Julie Smith. Okay, Billy? Really? Oh, okay, Jenny. Oh, okay, I don't think so. We'll be back in 12 months to try, see how it's going. 12 months today, we went back. Hey, how's our 3? Oh my God, Dr. Robb, how we need to set this to the government. How did you know? What's going on? I was trying to contact you for months and months. How did you know? We need to know. How do you know? And we said, well, what we did is when we left the premises for the first time after the test, we threw them all away in the garbage. And we picked 3 random people out of your school, and we told you they were going to become captains of industry, going to get college offers. And because you treated them that way,
Yeah.
they can't. So you've got to be really careful who you hang around, guys.
Yeah. I love that. So if I circle back to your site and some of the modalities that you are using, I'm really curious because on the topic of self-identity, a lot of people with alcoholism, addiction, what have you, we struggle with our self-identity. And you're working with NLP or neuro linguistic programming. So how does that help people shift from sort of, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, I'm just this way, to more of an empowered self-image?
It starts with subliminal messaging. From the moment you pull up in the car park, we find out all about you. If you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, there'll be a Dallas Cowboy guy sat on the bench with a Cowboys hat. As you come towards, there'll be discarded something in the corner with Dallas Cowboys on. So when you come into the office, you feel good. We use things like, which is very important, very, very important, brain spotting. Where we're pulling them subconscious negative thoughts out that you're not even aware of. NLP, we know about 9D breathwork journey. You put headphones on, you put a mask on, new software. And subliminally, it's telling you in 9 directions around the headphones, subliminal messages. And you're following a single message with music in the background. And that's how we change minds. Talk psychology as well is how we change minds. Because if I tell you something now, Kate, you might believe it, you might not. If I tell you something often enough, you're going to believe it. Guess what? if I told you real often enough, I'm going to start to believe it. It's kind of psychology 101. I mean, once you start programming, this is why our programs every single day for an hour. 90% is telehealth. We get 10% coming in the office. Once we start to reroute them pathways, they stick until you start believing, your identity. It's my identity. Ask anybody that. Oh, I don't know. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. What's your identity? If all that went away tomorrow, if the husband left and took the children, oh no, what was your identity? The answer is I've lost it. Because partners, especially women, that is the men's football, it's the men's guys, you're right. It's all this guy, so he's not in the picture, you're lost, and you don't know who you are. About 85% of people walking around today are acting around 40 to 45% capacity and capability of what they're really meant to do. Even if you're on $1 million, I can show you how to earn 2 million. If you're on 100 grand, I'll show you how to earn 2. And it's not going to be me. It's going to be me persuading you with some of the message of you can do it. And once we get that pattern going, repetition strengthens, confirms any thought pattern. So once you're doing that on a regular basis, you can literally change and it sticks, or they become that person. Now, what lengths have we gone to? Well, we'll go to any lengths, okay? There was a guy who had slight Alzheimer's scale. He was 18 years old, drove a Mustang, never had a girlfriend. We got him well, and the thing he wanted was a girlfriend. And I hired my friend's Irish bar in Dallas. We got 10 actresses in there, models, planted around. And we walked in with him and we started a bar. And I said, if anybody you want in here, who'd you date? He turned around, he picked this blonde that we all thought he'd pick, about the same age as his. Now, she'd been told that if he comes over to you, mention Mustang car. So we go over, we sit down, and so nervous. He wouldn't let go of the bar, first of all. I said, come on. He knew nothing about it. First thing she said, sat down, said, I'm just going to put my money in the meter. I don't want the Mustang to be, tucked away. And he said, you into Mustangs? Done. Now, we all left and we didn't see each other again, the girls and the guys, but next week he was dating. So once you show somebody what they're capable of doing, it becomes second nature. You think I had the drugs of this when I was homeless on the streets? A little 10% of my brain did. It really did. And I always knew one day I'd be sat in this situation with the, I think it's 9,500 patients so far that was treated. Because quantum physics backs it up here. If you can imagine yourself on a basketball court 10 times. So there's 10 Kates on the basketball court. Where do you want to be, Kate? Well, I'm going to play basketball, but I would imagine you want to be near the goal, get the ball in the net, here at the game. How'd you get there? The answer is simple. You walk over and you take that position. You don't beg for it. You don't crawl for it. You can visualize it, walk over and see it. There's a lot of psychological work around that, but that's the layman term is everything around you is already here. You just can't see it.
For you, when you're talking about this, it's very science-based, and I love this, but for me, I tend to go to a more spiritual perspective on this. Like, we were created whole in the mind of our source, creator, universe, whatever, whole, perfect, strong, capable, and therefore it's about realizing our potential. Do you make any spiritual references or lean toward that in your practice at all?
Billion percent. So I never get into that side just in case, I don't know, the host or whatever doesn't like it. But I never seen sober atheist. You've got to get into spiritual. Again, when my energy of my mind connects with a higher energy, when it's connected and thought patterns are rerouted, your DNA changes. So unless you have that connection with a higher power, as well as changing this, your DNA won't change. What does that tell us? Flip back to the basal ganglia. Repetition, strength, and confirms. If you haven't got God in your life, what happens is, look at a clock face. 10 after, or 12 o'clock, you go on a bender. 10 after, you're feeling remorseful. 20 after, the wife comes back. 20 after, half past, the kids come back. 22, we get a job off, and 10 to you completely destroy your life again. So there is a spiritual connection there to heal that part of the mind. And once you have that connection, all bets are off, man. Everybody that comes in there has to go through that. Well, I just don't believe in God. There's
Yeah.
1,500 gods in the universe. Just fucking pick one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then. Oh, it's like, come on, get rid of it. You're sat in your own crap there on the floor, homeless, and you don't believe in a God? Come on. How sanctimonious are you to sit there shouting, get up, get in, start believing in God. Just pick one and we'll get through this deal. It's like, that's just it. The neuroscience is beautiful to know. And that's like when the hypothalamus, the reason why it's a disease is it tells the alcoholic to drink alcohol to survive. Doesn't tell us to drink food or water. You know, that's why in those days when we can have food or water, is the hypothalamus is telling us. But all that is a spiritual journey. Unless you connect the neuroscience with the spiritual side, with the psychology, the subliminal side, you're not going to get well. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I was a person who worked the 12 steps in early recovery, and I firmly believe there is a spiritual component to that doctrine, and it was, divinely guided in some capacity, and it certainly helped me get to a certain level. And so I tell clients, I don't care where you're at on your journey, I need you to find some power that is greater than you. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what it is, but it's not you. You're not the top of the universe. And so we got to get there, eventually. But I feel like I have a similar approach in a mix of science and spirituality. Because we talk a lot about neuroplasticity in the recovery spaces, but people need it broken down and explained in what does this mean about me? What does this mean to you? What is this going to mean for my drinking? And one last thing I was curious about is I just released an episode on post-acute withdrawal. And I talked about that being like a prolonged brain rebalancing of your neurotransmitters, your dopamine, your GABA, your hormone levels. Um, how do you manage that? Because you said that you usually work with people for up to 90 days in a treatment session.
So 90 days is the average that we got. Again, it's not a treatment thing. It's a medical thing. After 90 days, all chemicals should be balanced.
Okay.
Deal, and you're ready to move on once that happens. So 90-day program done and finished, and you're out the door. But you have to understand that the body goes through so many different changes whilst you're, when you're getting sober and then when you're sober completely. So yeah, the neuroscience is important and the chemicals. We need 4 chemicals in the brain every day, guys, to be happy. You can't be happy every day. Says who? Me and millions of people are happy every day. What are they? Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Okay, so how do I get them? Easy. Sunlight's divine. You've got to remember, though, that the most important chemicals, neurochemicals, okay, is dopamine, oxytocin. Okay? They're created in the gut. So if you're eating McDonald's every day and expect to be happy, you're not going to do it. You've got to look after your body. If you're picking something up, this is really important with the food side. We found the shit we over here directly to Alzheimer's, to addictions, everything else. I mean, we cook in canola oil, sunflower. These are seed oils, man. They can kill you. We're not meant to methylate that stuff. So what happens is, my dad's got heart disease. No, let's look at that really. What happened there, for instance, is he can't methylate, let's say, onions in the family diet that they have every day. Nobody knows that he can't methylate onions. So if you can't methylate a food or protein, there becomes a deficiency in the body. When there's a deficiency, it causes, for instance, the heart problems. Now I leave the house from my family, I date a girl, we kind of eat the same things that my parents did and her parents. I can't methylate the onions like my dad. So there becomes a deficiency, there becomes the heart problems. And I want to blame, I've caught it off my dad. It's biologically impossible. There's a lot of myths around addiction. There's a lot of myths around food that people are falling for. And it's not fair, first of all. And it's just not true. You have to look at what you eat. The other big thing in the world is oxygen, man. We don't get enough oxygen. So we only breathe 45% of our lung capacity. The reason you feel so good going to the gym, guys, it's not the weights. It's this in between. So when you wake up in the morning, here's 3 things to change your life right now for tomorrow morning. Every disease in the body, every disease or illness starts in a hypoxic area of the body. For those people who are not sure what I mean, I do, where there's no oxygen. So in a normal circadian rhythm sleep pattern between 2 and 5, his body's actually well. That's why nobody woke up laughing. Oxygen, you need oxygen to laugh. When we wake up first thing, how to guess who wakes us up? Subconscious brain. This guy loves hypoxic situations. Conscious brain loves oxygenated situations, but this guy wakes us up. Wake up tomorrow morning. Let's get rid of this guy to start with. 20 exaggerate breaths in and out. First thing. You go for it. Okay? Get oxygen. Now the body's alive. The cells are alive. You're ready to go. Walk into the bathroom. You brush your teeth with your right. Weak on the left. Weak on the right. Weak on the left. Weak on the right. You're changing neural pathways and patterns every time you do that. Thirdly, number 300 neural pathways die every day. Stand in front of the mirror, stand 6 feet away and say, I love you 10 times. Let's start with place. Why 6 feet away? Well, the optical illusion is when we get near to the mirror, we see all our blemishes, like ladies putting the makeup on or guys shaving. That's not how people see us. When's the last time you went to the office, guys? Hey, Jimmy, we don't do that. But
Yeah.
when we stand 6 feet away, we see what other people think. And you're 25 more attractive than you think you are. You're about 20% more intelligent than you think you are. And you're 100% capable of doing anything in the world that you want to do. So them 3 things every morning, compliment 3 people every day to get some more dopamine in from me and him or her. And just be that guy that has a plan. Write 5 things down every day you're going to do, guys. Start easy. Don't set yourself up. Remember, 300 neural pathways die. Let's replace them with win, 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 win. Breakfast, lunch, run, gym, home. Check, 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 check. And as you go along, make it a little bit harder every single week or month. Your brain will get used to winning, and it'll kill that subconscious brain on traumas.
You mentioned mirror work, and I'm a fan of that, but it can be categorized as sort of a cheesy affirmation. I feel pretty. What can you say about the mirror work?
You gotta ask yourself, why do you feel uncomfortable doing it? The first question, are you mad? The secondly, again, replacing your pathways. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to see you. Just do it. Just do it religiously every single day. And then what we're doing is we're giving ourselves self-talk, which is good, as opposed to we won't speak to our worst enemies the way we speak to ourselves.
Yeah.
There's 2 things you need to practice daily. It's internal dialogue and smiling. Nobody smiles, If you smile at somebody, like if you walk in a room with 9 people with a frown on your face, most people are going to frown back. Same people, most people are going to smile back. We become reflections of each other. And the more we do that and get capable in neural pathways and the way the whole brain and mind is set up, is it becomes a positive brain with everything else we're talking about, then we'll become unstoppable. You see, I used to always think people were talking about me, but they weren't. You see, people have their own shit going on. I'm not that important.
Yeah.
What I do today, instead of walking in the door into a room, looking around mildly and sheepishly wondering if anybody likes me today, I kick that freaking door off. I'll walk in and I'll look around and go, who do I like today? And the quicker you get into that position, it's not ego. It's not nothing like that. It's 30 years of walking with God. It's 30 years of getting well and making sure you're doing the right thing. It's 30 years of confidence. It's 30 years of not listening to the naysayers around you. Always look at the source when somebody negative comment. Had a guy the other day on my TikTok, blah, 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 blah. We worked for the FBI. Treasury was. He's living in his mom's basement. He's £290. God forbid, I don't understand anybody who's right or wrong. I'm not saying that. And he has 4 divorced marriages in front of him. And yet he wants to comment on me, what I should. Guys, no, don't listen to them guys, man. You've got to think positive. You've got to think and act as if it's already there. And if you don't believe it, no one else is going to believe it.
Yeah, what you've described is just basically like taking the bull by the horns, standing in your power. And I feel like I spend a lot of time with clients encouraging them to stand in their power. And maybe I'll be the brazen one that swears and says all that and says, I don't give a fuck, right? Everyone, who cares? No one's looking at you. No one's thinking about you. No one's talking about you. You know, sometimes I feel like clients choose me just because I will be the loudmouth version that stands up for, you know, the quieter side of them. But yeah, I completely agree.
That's the way it has to be done. It's got to be one person that leads people out of this. Embarrassment, shame, remorse, guilt, shame. Come on, I'm going to take you by the hand. I'm going to walk into this face to face, whether you fucking like it or not. Are you ready? Yeah, let's go. Got to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I take a no bullshit approach with people. I'm not in the business of convincing people to get sober. I'm not in the business of quick tips and tricks for sobriety. That's not my game. If you want to do the real work, let's fucking go. If not, then there's plenty of coaches who will take your money. I think we're on the same page there.
And that's how guys I can change the world. You don't, I mean, oh, well, Dr. Robbins, if he was I just go away. Obviously not that guy. Go away until it's painful enough, or you believe in God. Oh, you know, Kate, I just can't get that spiritual thing done. Listen, God and the spiritual journey is circumstantial. When it gets bad enough, true story. I'm on the plane with a couple of friends coming from London to Austin, Texas. We set off. It's raining, it's pouring, it's lightning. I'm sure lightning hit the plane at least once. We're going through turbulence, and all of a sudden the plane drops about 1,000 feet. Everybody's stomach went. Everybody grabbed hold, and everyone was like, and you could hear a pin drop on that floor. My buddy went over and went, "Hey, Rob, how many fucking atheists do you think are on the plane right now?" It's like, when it becomes bad enough, you'll start to believe. Until then, God bless you, man.
Yeah. Dr. Robb Kelly, this was amazing. I could talk to you forever. Where can people find you if they live under a rock?
So if you're listening, not watching, guys, spell one M, two B's, ROBB, KELOY.com's website. Dr. Robb Kelly in any search engine. Come and say hi, come and friend us, come and whatever. And remember that thing that's talked about, guys. Danny, please stop drinking. That's me wasted. That's my daughter. 5 copies here on this show. You say you heard me, okay. I'm going to sign it. I'm going to ship it all free of charge. And one condition, you give it to somebody else when you finish. So no one's after money after you guys. Come and join us. Come and friend us and do whatever you got to do.
Awesome. Yes. You're offering up copies of your book. I love that. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that we can do this again, because I feel like we could riff forever. We may get ourselves into some big fat trouble, but we can certainly riff on things. So
Hell yeah.
thanks for tuning in. You can find me on my website at katevitella.com. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Kate Vitella. I would love to hear from you. Any feedback or questions, shoot me a note. So until next time, peace within and bullshit out.